At EC Accelerate, we constantly get asked, what is our strategy to create hyper low risk product launches? So in this video, we're going to cover our 9 simple steps that will take you from product concept to making your first 3D rendering, to making your very first sales, to your very first customers. You'd actually be surprised at how simple this process can be and how effective it is when executed properly. So let's get into it.
Goal setting. At the end of the day, if you don't define your destination, you're never going to be able to get there. So the fundamental and foundation of our program in the beginning is very much about focusing on why you're doing this. What's the reason? What's the inspiration? Why are you going to put in the time and energy and effort when you don't need to? What is it that you're looking to accomplish? And for us, it's very much about defining that in the beginning, where you want to go, and then we have the framework and the community and all of our Accelerate tools to help you get to that destination. How to create a winning product idea. We really emphasize the KISS approach. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's because, as the age-old saying goes, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Let's figure out how to make it roll a bit faster. Let's figure out how to make it a bit shinier. Let's maybe redesign it, put a different brand on it, something where it really is about not making that degree of difficulty to your destination at the top of the mountain of success more difficult than it needs to be. And what we mean by that is a lot of people think they have to come up with a brand new invention or creation to sell to customers. But the reality is, with the market and the accessibility of the global market, you have millions of customers at your fingertips as long as you're focused and niche enough with what your branding, positioning, messaging, value propositions are to be able to attract them and be your customer instead of someone else's. Model and pivot. Now this comes to your product itself. A lot of founders get analysis paralysis when it comes down to actually making this decision that they never actually get started. And for us, when it comes to modeling and then pivoting on that product, what we very simply mean is go look at what other people have launched in the past 12 months. Go look at Kickstarter, Indiegogo, go look at any of the brands you really enjoy and what are they innovating on, and model that and figure out how you can pivot, how you can change, what is something more specific or niche you can offer just a segment of the audience they're going after. And by doing that, you're carving out that niche for your own brand and your own business and your own product eventually. And that's really where we like to focus, because niches make riches. Customer discovery and customer development. Now, those aren't very exciting terms, but those truly are the foundation of any entrepreneurial journey in any type of business. It's incredibly important. It's not the most fun or exhilarating work to do, but customer discovery is essentially going through that hypothesis creation theory part of the process. And then customer development is actually going and doing that work and seeing if what you thought was true actually is the case. Most of the time it's not, and that's why you model and pivot along the way, so to speak. What I really like to focus on and what the team really practices and what we do even with our own business is, again, not reinventing that wheel. What's already working? What are other successful companies who are 1 to 2 years in front of you already doing right now? And go figure out how you can apply what they've done, because they've done a lot of the hard work already. They've figured out what's working and what's not. So the more that you can go embrace and learn and emulate, and then create your own unique brand and your unique selling points and your unique value propositions for your audience, the better you're going to be able to connect. And that really, again, is what we love to do, is make sure people follow this process, because as long as you do the right work at the right time in the correct order, you're never going to be spending too much time, energy, and effort doing work you just shouldn't be doing at that time.
How to get your first 100 leads. Here is where we start actually getting into action, right? So at the end of the day, by this point, you already have your unique selling points that you've established for your product. And now we need to start putting that in front of customers. So the way that we do that very simply in a very low risk manner is by making a 3D rendering of your product concept, which is very low risk. It doesn't have to exist in physical space yet. And we put that onto a landing page, and then we run some very, very simple Facebook ads to start to generate interest in your product concept, right? So this more or less becomes like your staging ground to learn about what your customers want from you. So you put your concept in front of them and you start to learn why they like it, why they don't like it. And because it's only a 3D rendering at this point, you can change it to become a perfect fit for exactly what your customers want. And this is the first step that leads us to creating a high converting product and being able to sell that product at a high profit margin. Learning how to market and sell to your customers. And that is the key word right there, is learning. A lot of times people start an e-commerce business and they just put a product out there and they're like, how come nobody's buying it? They don't understand why people are not buying their products, which is why I always love to emphasize you need to teach yourself how to sell your specific product to your specific customer segment. So this is why we love email marketing. This is why we love generating those first 100 leads of people that say, hey, I'm interested in this product. I would like to buy this product, right? They don't have to pay for it yet. We're just generating interest, right? So while you do that, you're able to ask them questions. You're able to see what type of messaging that they respond to via your email autoresponders and you reaching out to them to get them on customer interviews. How to build a relationship with your customers. One thing that we love at EC Accelerate is email marketing, for two main reasons. Number one, customers still always open and read their emails. If they've signed up to be interested in your product, they are interested in hearing from you. Number two is that with email marketing, it is possible to set up an autoresponder. Emails that automatically go out after somebody signs up for your email list that pretty much does your work for you while you're sleeping, while you're doing anything else, right? So what you do in this autoresponder is test the messaging and test your product unique selling points to see what your customers respond to the most. So this is the point where we take your customer from interest to making a commitment. So through building this relationship with your customer, and as you learn what they respond to, we eventually lead them very quickly to make a commitment to reserve your product, right? So we take your customer from top level, them saying, hey, I'm interested in this product concept, and then we educate them more about it and educate them more about the features of the product, and finally reveal the price to them and get them to reserve the product without having to pay for it right at that point. So that way you can very accurately gauge how much your customers want your product and how much they're willing to pay for it.
The one-to-one customer validation process. And this is arguably one of the most difficult processes to execute. And that's why most founders don't do it. And that's why most founders end up in a place they don't want to be with their business. And that one-to-one customer validation process is very much about, as Steve Blank would say, getting outside of the building, going and having conversations with your potential customers and who you think's in your niche. If you're selling a new gym equipment or workout gear, then go to where those people are spending time. Go to that CrossFit gym around the corner. Go to the Gold's Gym up the street. If you're interested in selling some sort of fashion, high-end fashion brand as a product, go to those boutiques, go engage one-on-one with the people who are actually shopping there, and really drive home that point and get comfortable being uncomfortable in that process, because it's no fun when it starts. And it's a lot of founders get very, they get very beaten down in this process when they're trying to engage people online, offline, and it's very hard to get people's time and attention. That the reality is you want to go through the process and spend only your time figuring out whether what you're making and creating is something people actually want. And you can truly only do this by going and having that one-to-one customer validation process. And we believe the way you do it with one, then you do it with 10, then you do it with 20. And the more you do it, the smarter you're getting, the more confident you're becoming as a founder, and truly the better you're learning how to market and sell your brand and product. And that is how you're able to eventually grow it to something much larger, because you've done the nitty-gritty dirty work in the beginning, where you know for a fact that these customers are not going to be your customers.
Generating your first sales, collecting your first money from your customers. If you have made it through to this point, you have been working through going from a product concept and learning what your customers want from you in that product. And even by now, you will have learned how much they're willing to pay for it. So once you've validated all of those steps of the process, it's time to actually make it real. It's time to open up for business. It's time to start accepting credit card payments. We often do this on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but we've also engineered some ways to do it privately on your own site where you can pre-sell this product and collect money from your customers before you have to manufacture it, right? So we usually sell the product at a profit before you have to manufacture it or ship it. These days, so many customers online are very willing to pre-order your product, especially if you have messaged to them well, and especially if you have created product features that they really love, right? So that is how we were able to do these low risk launches and sell these products at a high profit margin before we even have to manufacture it.